where deputies received a call for a possible armed robbery.
A robbery. A robbery.
Robbery is...
The robber is recovering tonight after being shot as he tried to rob a Santa Ana restaurant.
In the dark world of crime, where plans are carefully crafted and executed.
Moments earlier, the trio break into a Cooper's Plains warehouse with a plot to steal 2 cars.
Even the most daring robbery can unravel into chaotic disasters. Robberies That Went Wrong delves into the thrilling and often entertaining stories of robberies that didn't go as planned. From bungled escape attempts to unexpected twists of fate, these stories offer a gripping exploration of what happens when criminal masterminds find themselves in over their heads. What are the common factors that contribute to a robbery going wrong? Join us as we unravel 33 robberies that went wrong. Number 33, robber stuck inside store. The footage begins with a man strolling into the store and pulling out a gun. He quickly heads behind the counter, disrupting through the cash register and looking for items to steal. Meanwhile, the customers and staff quietly slip out of the store. One quick-thinking person decides to lock the robber inside. The thief, unaware at first, only realizes he's trapped when he tries to leave. He starts to panic, desperately trying to shoot the lock open, but his attempts fail. He then rams himself against the door, but when that doesn't work, he resorts to begging the people outside to let him out. Fortunately, the police arrive just in time and arrest him, putting an end to his not-so-great escape. Number 32, pull, not push. This man wasn't trying to rob the bank, but his fear and desperation made it look like he was. It was a typical mix-up where a simple mistake led to his unintentional capture. His carefully planned robbery fell apart, and as alarms blasted, the would-be thief made a panic-struck dash for the exit. In his panic, he didn't realize the door might need to be pushed instead of pulled. He pulled and dragged, thinking he was trapped in the bank he was trying to escape from. Caught between his own criminal intentions and a door that wouldn't move, he eventually gave up, resigning himself to the inevitable arrival of the police. He had no idea that a twist of fate was just around the corner. Minutes later, an unrelated, innocent elderly woman entered the bank. The would-be thief quickly realized his huge mistake. He had misread the door, which was actually a push instead of a pull. With newfound clarity, he seized the moment and dashed into the unknown of the streets. Number 31. Mexican cowboy thwarts armed robbery. It might be a good idea to look around at the people in a store before pulling out a gun and trying to rob them. This was a hard lesson learned by a bold robber who walked up to the cash register and pulled out his gun. At the register stood a man wearing a cowboy hat. He waited for the right moment, and as soon as the robber got distracted, he dived forward, tackling him and knocking the gun to the floor. Another employee quickly grabbed the weapon. Now shirtless, the robber made a run for the door, but his escape was cut short in a dramatic fashion by one of the store staff. Number 30, Father of the Year. In a dramatic turn of events, 2 teenagers attempted to steal a car with infants inside in broad daylight. The car was parked outside a busy supermarket, and the father was just a few steps away when he saw the crime happening. Reacting with lightning speed, he pulled out his legally owned firearm and shot the would-be robbers, effectively stopping them in their tracks. Hats off to the father for his quick thinking and immediate response. Onlookers were stunned, but praised his bravery and swift action. It's chilling to think what might have happened to the babies if the father hadn't acted so swiftly, as the teenagers were already in the driver's seat and ready to speed away. Number 29. Homeowner opens fires at 2 thieves. 2 young thieves, wearing dark hoodies and masks, approached his shiny new SUV, quietly disorganizing through it in search of valuables. The homeowner, alert and cautious, noticed the suspicious activity from his living room window. He quickly grabbed his firearm, a licensed Glock 19, and without hesitation, fired several warning shots into the air. The sudden noise frightened the intruders, who desperately dropped the items they had found. They rushed back to their battered old getaway car, parked a short distance away. In their haste, one of the thieves carelessly pulled out a small gun and fired a few wild shots in the homeowner's direction, missing by a wide margin. As the getaway car yelled away into the night, the homeowner called the police, who arrived promptly. The officers praised the homeowner for his quick thinking and bravery. Upon reviewing the security footage, they identified the thieves as part of a notorious local gang responsible for a string of recent break-ins in the neighborhood. Thankfully, no one was injured during the incident, and the homeowner's SUV remained unscathed, apart from a few dirty fingerprints. Number 28. Don't bring a knife to a gunfight. When an ill-prepared armed robber foolishly brought a knife to a gunfight, he learned a tough lesson. Surveillance cameras at a gas station in Newport, Michigan, caught the amusing yet risky event on tape. The man walked into the BP gas station, hiding his face with a green bandana. With a large knife in hand, he approached the clerk, demanding money with false confidence. However, the cool-headed employee didn't panic. Instead, he calmly stepped back and reached under the counter. What he found would change everything. He pulled out a gun, ready to defend himself. The situation flipped instantly. The robber, who had felt so sure of himself with his knife just moments earlier, now faced a serious problem. The clerk pointed the gun at the now confused and retreating robber, forcing him to flee quickly, leaving behind an unspoken message of strength and readiness. Number 27. Indian Bank Robbery. The CCTV footage at a State Bank of India branch captured a frightening scene as a gang of armed robbers stormed in. What started as a quiet day for the security guard quickly turned into one of his toughest challenges. The exact number of robbers is unclear, but they were armed with knives and guns and swiftly filled the bank, overpowering any resistance. Despite their weapons, the robbers appeared disorganized, wandering around aimlessly and not accomplishing much. Eventually, one of them emerged with a small bag of cash, and they all fled. It seemed like a small reward for such a significant risk. Number 26. Rammed. The video footage is straight out of a dramatic film. It captures a thrilling scene where robbers are seen fleeing with bags of cash they had stolen from an armored vehicle. Just when they think they're in the clear, the very same armored van comes speeding after them from behind. It resembles a high-stakes movie moment where the hero swoops in to save the day. But this is real life. Even after the robbers managed to escape initially, they came back for the cash bag only to be rammed by the van once more. Despite their efforts to get away with the loot, it's hard to believe it was worth the injuries they sustained. Number 25. Armed drivers versus robbers. The video comes from the dash cam of an armed vehicle that was attacked by another car trying to hijack it. However, the robbers had no idea that both the driver and the guard in the passenger seat were armed and wearing bulletproof vests, fully prepared for such a dangerous situation. The person behind the wheel was an exceptional driver and immediately jumped into action when the first shots were fired. The guard next to him quickly loaded his handgun and rifle, ready to fight back. The driver skillfully changed lanes and made sharp turns, but the attackers kept pursuing them and firing at their vehicle. In the end, these two managed to save the day, and it's clear their driving skills were truly outstanding. Number 24. Robber gets trapped. Surveillance camera footage from a cell phone in Houston, Texas, dated April 17, 2017, captures an extraordinary scene showing the 5 stages of mourning. John Bell walked into a restaurant calmly, demanding money from an employee with a threatening tone. But things didn't go as he planned. The employee and 2 customers quickly ran out, locking Bell inside the restaurant. Realizing he was trapped, Bell's panic set in, mirroring the stages of grief. He first tried to shoot the lock and then attempted to kick the door open, all to no avail. His desperation grew, leading him to plead with any higher powers for help, crying out in despair. His sobs echoed through the empty restaurant, showing just how isolated and hopeless he felt. Finally, the police arrived, swiftly ending Bell's intense and emotional nightmare. They captured him, bringing his dramatic journey through the stages of grief to a close. Number 23. Meet Cleaver bank robbery. You must be extremely ridiculous for the person you're robbing to find you amusing. This was exactly what happened during an attempted robbery at a China construction bank in Shanghai in 2014. The would-be thief walked up to the teller casually and pressed a meat cleaver against the plexiglass. Both the customer and the woman at the register couldn't believe what they were seeing, and it seemed like even the man himself doubted his actions. The robbery ended before it even started, as the teller burst into laughter, and the security guards quickly apprehended the bumbling robber. Number 22. Centurion Mall. On a Thursday morning, police were on the hunt for two suspects after a dramatic cash-in-transit robbery at a busy mall. The robbery happened outside Centurion Mall, where four suspects carried out the crime. As shown in the video footage, a fierce shootout broke out between the robbers and the security guards. This clash led to one suspect being wounded and another being killed. The authorities are working hard to catch the two remaining suspects involved in this bold robbery. Number 21. Gates save the day. The video captures a daring daylight robbery that took place in a busy urban area. Allegedly, 3 men were involved in this high-stakes crime, though only 2 were caught on camera. These 2 individuals executed a bold smash-and-grab robbery, aiming to steal valuable jewelry. The main character of the footage, wielding a sledgehammer, forcefully shatters the front window of a high-end jewelry store, sending glass shards flying. As the thieves scramble to grab as much loot as possible, they are thwarted by the store's advanced security features. The store had recently upgraded its safety measures, including a reinforced glass window and an automatic safety gate that descended as soon as the alarm was triggered. Despite their aggressive efforts, the robbers struggled to retrieve items before the gate came down. In a dramatic turn, one of the robbers became trapped by the safety gate and almost lost his hand while trying to escape. He managed to free himself just in time, but the close call left them empty-handed. Number 20. Slick escape. In a twist of irony, a would-be robber found himself in a slippery situation when his heist took a messy turn. Attempting to rob a car repair facility, the thief's plan went awry when he tumbled into an open oil pit. Covered in black, greasy sludge, he struggled to free himself, leaving a trail of chaos behind. Bruised and battered, the thief finally managed to stumble out of the pit and make his escape. Despite the mishap, he managed to flee with around $100 worth of stolen goods. However, the real cost of this robbery might be more than he bargained for. Was the trouble and humiliation worth the meager loot? For this unfortunate crook, the answer might be clear as he scrubs away the evidence of his failed caper. Number 19. Knife Insecurity. In a tense scene captured by surveillance cameras in a convenience store, a man wearing a blue hoodie strolled up to the register, seemingly just another customer. But the calm facade quickly shattered when he brandished a knife and demanded money from the clerk. The situation seemed to be going his way until the clerk revealed an even larger knife, making the robber's weapon look tiny in comparison. Realizing he was in over his head, the robber quickly fled through the door, realizing he had underestimated the situation. Number 18. Karate Masters. These carjackers thought they could get away with stealing a car right in the middle of the day. But they forgot that sometimes people around them are ready to step in and help. That's exactly what happened in this case. In Oakland, on Piedmont Avenue, a man was heading back to his car when someone tried to grab his keys. But watch what happens next. 2 brave individuals jumped in and stopped the carjackers. These heroes were actually employees of a nearby karate school and city workers from San Francisco. Their quick actions turned a frightening situation into one where good people made a big difference. It just goes to show how important it is to act fast when trouble strikes. Number 17. Chilliest man ever. The CCTV footage captures a dramatic scene inside the neighborhood bar. A robber storms in, displaying a rifle and causing panic among everyone present. Fear grips the patrons, who are paralyzed with terror. However, amid the chaos, one person remains utterly composed. Tony. He remains seated, lighting a cigarette with calm indifference, as if he's watching a play in which he is the central character. As the robber cruises around the bar, his eyes fall on Tony's mobile phone. Despite the tension, Tony doesn't pull back or give up his phone. Surprisingly, the robber doesn't insist, choosing instead to focus on other valuables. Tony, in an act of brazen defiance, even mocks the intruder by requesting a beer from him. This unexpected behavior infuriates the robber even more, adding a layer of stupidity to the already tense situation. Number 16. The perfect heist gone wrong. In a bid for a quick score, A local man believed he had the perfect plan to rob a nearby liquor store. His scheme involved climbing onto the building's roof and lowering himself down to the store. However, his execution was far from flawless. As he descended, he lost his grip and fell, knocking himself out cold. Upon regaining consciousness, he scrambled to grab what he could in a dazed state. His escape was equally disastrous. He managed to climb back to the roof, but as he prepared to flee, he lost his footing once more and tumbled off. The whole operation, meant to be a smooth getaway, turned into a chaotic mess. Maybe if he had steered clear of the booze, his plan might have had a chance. Number 15. Georgia gun store owner fence off robbers. These two suspects demonstrated that not all criminals think things through when they attempted to rob the Dixie Gun and Pawn Shop in Mableton, Georgia. When they stormed in, they first targeted an employee who quickly raised his hands. However, the store owner, Jimmy Gruber, swiftly assessed the situation and drew his own gun. He fired at the suspects, immediately hitting one who was reported to have died on the spot. The other suspect managed to flee just as the store filled with smoke from the gunfire. Inside the store at the time were the owner, an employee, and two customers. They all provided statements to the police later. Although the owner went to the police headquarters, he was not charged. Number 14. Let me eat. In a video from a restaurant in Houston, Texas, something astonishing took place. An armed robber stormed in and demanded money from all the patrons. However, as the robber moved through the crowd, a courageous customer who had a gun stepped in and confronted the robber. The encounter ended with the robber being fatally shot. Afterward, the brave customer quickly left the scene in a pickup truck before the police arrived. Later on, the customer's lawyer reached out to the district attorney's office, stating that their client wanted to explain what had happened. It was undeniably a bold move by the customer. Number 13. Phone robbery went wrong. In the video, the thief pretends to be a regular customer looking at phones in the store. He starts comparing two phones while browsing, acting like he's genuinely interested in buying one. When he thinks he has the perfect moment to escape, he dashes the door. However, he quickly realizes the door is locked from the inside, trapping him inside the store. Feeling both scared and embarrassed, the thief slowly walks back to the counter and hands the phones back to the owner. Surprisingly, the store owner decides to be kind and lets the thief go without calling the police. Number 12. Break-in ends in tragedy. In a harrowing incident in Atlanta, 3 armed robbers broke into a residence while the owners slept. The homeowners were jolted awake by the noise of the intruders. With remarkable bravery, they confronted the robbers, unleashing a volley of gunfire in self-defense. The fierce exchange resulted in one robber being struck directly and killed on the spot. The other 2 robbers, caught off guard and overwhelmed, managed to flee the scene without any stolen items. The homeowners' swift and decisive actions not only thwarted the robbery, but also underscored the dangers of home invasions and the lengths to which individuals will go to protect their families. The tragic event serves as a stark reminder of the unpredictable nature of crime and self-defense. Number 11. Sledgehammer bank robbery. Banks go to great lengths to ensure that the money they hold is kept safe. They use all sorts of security measures, like bulletproof glass, to protect their vaults. However, sometimes even these defenses can't stop the most determined criminals. In this CCTV footage, we witness a dramatic scene where a man tries to rob a Chinese bank using a sledgehammer. After noticing the bank's thick security glass, he decides to smash his way through. The strong glass proves challenging, but with persistent effort, he manages to break a hole large enough to squeeze through. However, his triumph is short-lived. Once inside, he realizes he still can't get the money. To make matters worse, he finds himself surrounded by a group of angry citizens ready to serve justice. The commotion quickly draws the attention of nearby residents who arrive to see what's happening. Number 10. Sword fight. In the video, you can see a large car repeatedly crashing into the shop. The customers and the shop owner are bewildered, trying to figure out what's happening. As soon as the shop owner realizes that these are robbers, he dashes into another room and emerges with a sword. To everyone's astonishment, he successfully fends off the armed robbers with this simple weapon. It takes immense courage to do something like this, Very few people would be willing to risk their lives in such a way. It's truly amazing to witness. Number 9. Cowboy versus Robber. This video comes from a gas station store and captures a dramatic scene. A man wearing a hoodie enters the store, loading his gun as he walks in. He swiftly aims his weapon at the cashier and a customer sporting a cowboy hat. The robber shouts threats, but as he momentarily turns his back, the cowboy-hatted customer seizes the opportunity. He quickly jumps on the robber from behind, causing him to drop the gun on the floor. Another person swiftly picks up the gun and moves it out of reach. The now shirtless robber makes a desperate dash for the door, but 3 men, including the quick-thinking cowboy, tackle him. They manage to hold him down until the police arrive and take him into custody. Number 8. Locked in a heist. A man walks into a convenience store with a seemingly casual demeanor. Without hesitation, he starts filling his backpack with various items. Once his bag is stuffed, he heads to the exit, only to find the door locked. Panic sets in as he tugs and pushes, but the door won't budge. For 5 long minutes, he struggles, his frustration mounting. Realizing he's trapped, he begins to empty his backpack, hoping it might unlock the door. With the bag now void of stolen goods, he makes one final attempt. This time, the door finally gives way. He darts out, but all he manages to escape with is a single soda. Relieved that the police didn't arrive in time, he disappears into the night. Number 7. California store owner flips the script. This lesson was certainly learned by a would-be thief who tried to rob a liquor store in Norco, California. Craig Cope, the 80-year-old owner, noticed a suspicious vehicle pulling into his store and prepared for the worst. There wasn't much time to think. The assailant barged in with an assault rifle pointed directly at Cope, who was standing behind the counter. The thief barely got any words out before the elderly man fired at him, landing a shot in his arm. Surveillance cameras captured the robber running out of the store and into a getaway car filled with accomplices. Later, the 4 suspects were found and arrested at a hospital. Number 6. Carjacking gone wrong. The footage captures a tense scene where a man wearing a hoodie approaches a sleek black car. Just as he reaches the driver's seat, a second man suddenly bursts out of the car and begins firing his gun at the hoodie-clad man. In the chaos, the shooter quickly flees to safety. The footage from another angle reveals that the man in the hoodie wasn't alone. He had a partner who had already opened the car door and was trying to get inside. The driver, realizing the attempted robbery, sprang into action and fired back at the intruders. Despite returning fire, the robbers ultimately had to abandon their plan and escape empty-handed. Now it's time for today's subscriber's pick. In the heart of a bustling city stood the rich Grand Vista Mall, a retail paradise with glittering storefronts and a high-tech security system that had deterred many would-be criminals. But one rainy afternoon, a group of amateur robbers decided to take their chances. The mastermind behind the robbery was Malcolm Trimble, a would-be criminal with a flair for dramatic plans but a distinct lack of practical experience. Alongside him was his misfit crew, Carla, Tom, and Lucy. Their plan was simple: storm the mall, disable the security system, grab as much cash and jewelry as possible, and make a clean getaway. But from the moment they stepped foot inside the mall, things started to unravel. Malcolm and his crew burst through the entrance with dramatic flourishes, only to realize they had forgotten to account for the mall's bustling midday crowd. To make matters worse, Tom the driver had packed in a no parking zone, and a parking attendant arrived to issue a ticket, adding an extra layer of complication. By the time the mall's security team arrived, the robbers were scrambling. Malcolm and his crew, covered in spilled popcorn and with Lucy trying to balance a teddy bear, had to make a hasty exit. In the end, they were apprehended by the police just outside the mall, their grand plans having failed spectacularly. What were the main reasons behind the failure of the heist? What strategies might have helped the robbers avoid detection and complete their mission? Let us know your thoughts and comments. Number 5. Daylight heist foiled. In broad daylight, 2 men sneaked into a compound, targeting a parked motorcycle. They managed to roll it to the gate where their own motorcycle was parked outside. Just as they were about to make their getaway, the motorcycle's owner noticed the commotion and dashed outside, shouting for help. The noise drew the attention of the neighbors, who quickly joined in the chase. The 2 thieves, startled by the growing crowd, panicked and stumbled over their own motorcycle in their haste. Realizing they were outnumbered, they abandoned the stolen motorcycle and fled on foot, leaving their getaway bike behind. The neighborhood buzzed with excitement as the owner reclaimed his motorcycle. The community, united in their efforts, felt a renewed sense of camaraderie and vigilance, knowing they had thwarted the theft and made the thieves regret their attempt. Number 4. Brazilian store owner fatally wounds robbers. In a dramatic turn of events in 2017, a robbery attempt at a convenience store in Goiás, Brazil, quickly turns into chaos reminiscent of the Wild West. Surveillance footage captured the two robbers entering the store, initially appearing to be ordinary customers. One of them, wearing a helmet, seemed slightly nervous, while the other, dressed in a green shirt, was scanning the area suspiciously and signaling that something was wrong. The situation took a dangerous turn when one of the robbers pulled out a gun and threatened a shocked customer. Without hesitation, the store owner drew his own weapon and fired at the robbers. As the robbers fled, they returned fire, creating a tense and panicked scene. The violent confrontation resulted in severe injuries for both robbers, who eventually succumbed to their wounds. Number 3. Trap. This video features a man who decided to take an extreme measure to handle the frequent break-ins in his truck, which had been happening in the busy city center. After enduring 6 break-ins over the past 2 months and a total of 8 since January, his frustration led him to a drastic solution. Security cameras outside his apartment building caught the latest attempt. A person with a bat breaking the truck's window and trying to get inside. But things took a surprising turn when a flashbang, set up on a tripwire inside the truck, went off. The loud bang startled the would-be thief, causing them to quickly run away. The flashbang is described as a non-lethal device meant to create a loud noise to scare off intruders without causing them serious injury. Number 2. Spring breakers versus robbers. A group of friends were enjoying a lively chat at the gas station when suddenly, their fun was shattered by a robber. The situation took a dark turn when a man emerged from a black car, raising a gun and threatening them. His aggressive behavior sparked a heated struggle between him and the group. Quickly, they overpowered him, pinning him to the ground and giving him a thorough beating. His accomplice, witnessing the chaos, rushed out of the vehicle in a desperate attempt to save him. The robber then shoved the friends off his partner and began to chase one of them. Unknown to him, the group had already seized his gun. The confrontation was intense, but the robber's actions left him with a well-deserved lesson. Number 1. Father and son join forces. On July 18, 2017, at the Zcom cell phone store in Arlington, Texas, 2 thieves picked the wrong place to try and grab some quick cash. The shop, run by owner Huru Manga and his son, had a dramatic showdown that day. When the robbers burst in, one of them raised a gun and jumped over the counter. But Manga's son jumped into action, and together with his father, they quickly subdued the would-be thief, pinning him to the ground. Although the second robber also pulled out a gun, he never used it. Instead, he fled the store in panic. Despite the owner's efforts to keep him inside, both robbers managed to escape. Which one of these robberies that went wrong did you find the most interesting? Share your thoughts and comments below.